The Veth had been mapping the universe for so long that they had forgotten when they started. Their star charts were perfect. Their models of physics were complete. They understood black holes better than humans understood rivers. They understood dark matter better than humans understood air. Nothing in the universe surprised them anymore. For 3 million years, the Veth had studied intelligent life. They had watched 1,000 species rise from mud to stars. Every single one followed the same patterns. First came survival. Then came tools. Then came cities. Then came war. Then came peace. Then came space. Then came decline. Then came death. The Veth had written a book. They called it The Great Cycle. It was 12 million pages long. It had never been wrong. A young Veth scientist named Kale had memoized the entire book. He could look at any species and tell you exactly where they were in the cycle. Stone Age. Industrial Age. Space Age. Decline. He was never wrong. His teachers praised him. His peers envied him. He was going to be the greatest scientist of his generation. Then humans arrived. The first human ship entered Veth space without warning. It was small, ugly, made of welded metal and broken dreams. The Veth scanned it. The results were confusing. The ship's engines were inefficient. Its life support was failing. Its navigation system was 200 years out of date. By every logical measure, the ship should have exploded before it left its home system. But it had not. It had crossed 1,000 light years. Somehow, Kale was assigned to study the humans. He read their history. It made no sense. Humans had fought more wars than any species in the Great Cycle. They should have destroyed themselves long ago. But they had not. They had survived. They had grown. They had reached the stars despite every prediction. Kale ran the numbers again. The numbers did not change. Humans should be extinct. They were not extinct. They were standing in front of him, smiling, waving, making strange noises with their mouths. A human captain named Marcus Chen stepped off the ugly ship. He was small, soft. His body had no natural weapons. His lifespan was barely 100 years. He looked at Kale and said, "Hello. We come in peace." Kale studied the human's face. It showed emotions. Too many emotions. Hope. Fear. Curiosity. Excitement. The Veth had removed emotions from their society long ago. Emotions were inefficient. They led to mistakes. But humans seemed to have more emotions than any species Kale had ever seen. They were drowning in feelings. Kale asked, "Why did you come here?" Marcus smiled. "Because it was there." Kale waited for more. There was no more. The human had come to the stars simply because the stars existed. There was no logical reason. No economic benefit. No scientific goal. Just curiosity. Just wonder. Just because. Kale wrote this in his report. His teachers read it and shook their heads. "Impossible," they said. "No species behaves this way. Your data is wrong." Kale checked his data. His data was correct. The humans were wrong. Or the Veth models were wrong. Either way, something had broken. The Veth Council called a meeting. They debated for 3 days. Some argued that humans were a mistake of evolution. A dead end. They would soon destroy themselves. Others argued that humans were hiding something. A secret weapon. A hidden intelligence. No species could be this illogical without a reason. A wise old Veth named Thessalon spoke last. She had studied more species than anyone alive. She said, "I have watched 1,000 civilizations rise and fall. Every single one followed the rules. Every single one made sense. But these humans, they follow nothing. They make no sense. And that frightens me more than any weapon." The council voted. Humans would be observed. Not trusted. Not helped. Just watched. Like a strange animal that might bite. Kale was given the job. He followed human ships. He studied human colonies. He listened to human music. He read human poetry. He watched human movies. The more he learned, the less he understood. Humans cried at fake stories. They laughed at jokes that had no purpose. They fell in love with people they barely knew. They sacrificed their lives for strangers. They hoped. They dreamed. They believed in things that did not exist. Kale's models crashed. His predictions failed. His understanding crumbled. For the first time in his life, the greatest young scientist in the Veth Empire had no answers. He looked at the humans. They looked back at him. They smiled. They waved. They made those strange, meaningless, beautiful noises. Kale did not smile back. He did not know how. But something was growing in his chest. Something warm. Something confusing. Something human. He did not have a name for it yet. But he would learn. They all would learn. The universe was not as simple as they had believed. And the proof was standing right in front of them. Small. Loud. Full of feelings. Making no sense at all. The human ship limped into Veth space like a wounded bird. Its engines were smoking. Its hull was cracked. Its lights flickered on and off. The ship had crossed 1,000 light-years with half its systems broken. How it had made the journey at all was a mystery. The Veth Science Station, a large ring of white metal floating near a quiet star, watched the ship approach. The station's commander, a tall Veth named Soren, opened a channel. Human vessel. You are damaged. We offer assistance. Please dock at Bay 7. The human captain, a woman named Elena Vance, answered. Her voice was tired but cheerful. Thanks, friend. We appreciate it. The Veth were confused by the word friend. They had no friends. They had colleagues. They had allies. They had enemies. Friends were inefficient. But the human used the word like it meant something. The ship docked. Veth engineers examined the damage. Their report was grim. The engines were beyond repair. The life support was failing. The navigation system was completely dead. By Veth calculations, the ship needed 6 months of work and a full set of new parts. The human crew did not ask for new parts. They did not ask for 6 months. They asked for tape. Basic, sticky tape. The kind used to seal boxes. Soren was confused. Tape will not fix your engines, he said. Elena Vance smiled. Watch us. The human crew worked for 6 hours. They did not use Veth tools. They did not use Veth parts. They used tape. They used wire. They used hope. They banged on broken machines until the machines started working again. They sang songs while they worked. They told jokes. They laughed. The Veth watched through observation windows. Their scientific minds could not process what they were seeing. Tape was not strong enough to hold engine components together. Hope was not a physical force. Laughter did not repair cracked hulls. But the human ship was healing. Piece by piece. Impossible piece by impossible piece. After 6 hours, the human ship was ready to fly. Elena Vance thanked the Veth for their hospitality. She said, "We owe you one." Then she and her crew climbed into their ugly, taped-together ship and flew away. Soren watched them go. He checked his instruments. The human ship was moving faster than it should. Its engines were burning hotter than they should. Nothing made sense. He wrote a report. He titled it, Human Vessel Escapes Death Through Nonsense. A young Veth researcher named Kale read the report. He was fascinated. He had been studying humans since their first arrival. He had read their history. He had listened to their music. He had watched their movies. Nothing about them followed the rules. Now this. A ship fixed with tape and hope. Kale requested access to all human data. He spent months studying. What he found made his head hurt. Humans survived diseases that should kill them. They built cities in deserts and swamps and frozen wastelands. They won wars when outnumbered 10 to 1. They fell in love with enemies. They forgave the unforgivable. They hoped when there was no reason to hope. Kale ran the numbers. The numbers said humans should be extinct. They were not extinct. The numbers said human ships should fall apart. They kept flying. The numbers said humans should hate each other. They kept building families. Kale wrote a report. He called it Humans, a systematic failure of Veth models. He presented it to the Veth Council. He stood before the greatest scientists in the universe and said, "Humans are broken. They do not follow our rules. They follow rules we do not understand." The council was silent. Then an old Veth named Thessalon spoke. She had been studying species for 50,000 years. She had never been wrong. She said, "Young Kale, every species follows rules. Every single one. You are simply not looking hard enough. Go back. Study more. Find the pattern. It is there. It must be there." Kale wanted to argue. He wanted to scream. But he was young. He was nothing compared to the great Thessalon. He bowed his head and left. But he did not stop looking. He could not. The humans had infected him with something. Curiosity. Wonder. The need to know. He watched human ships. He read human stories. He learned to understand human jokes. Some of them were even funny. He did not know why. He just knew they were. He began to understand something. The Veth models were not wrong. They were incomplete. They did not account for something. Something humans had and Veth did not. He could not name it yet. But he felt it. In his chest. A warmth. a confusion, a hope. He kept looking. He would not stop. The humans had broken his models, but they had given him something in return. A question. A beautiful, impossible question. And he would spend the rest of his life trying to answer it. The star was called Vela. It was old, tired, dying. The Veth had been watching it for 1,000 years. They knew its age, its temperature, its exact time of death. Their models said Vela would explode in 6 months. They were never wrong. The explosion would destroy 100 worlds. Millions of beings lived on those worlds. Veth, Krell, Xylos, other species. The Veth sent out warnings. Evacuate, they said. You have 6 months. Then they did nothing else. Evacuation was not their problem. They had provided the data. The rest was up to others. Humans heard the warning. They did not do nothing. Within a week, 1,000 human ships were heading toward Vela. Cargo haulers, colony ships, passenger liners, old warships, anything that could fly. They came from every corner of human space. They brought food, medicine, blankets. They brought hope. The Veth watched. Sorin, the station commander, sent a message to the human fleet. Your efforts are pointless. Our models show that evacuation will take at least 12 months. The star will explode in 6. You cannot save everyone. You should turn back. The human fleet commander was a woman named Elena Vance. The same Elena who had fixed her ship with tape. She answered Sorin with 2 words. Watch us. The humans worked. They did not sleep. They did not eat. They did not rest. They landed on worlds. They loaded people onto ships. They flew to safe systems. They turned around. They did it again. And again. And again. The Veth watched in disbelief. Human pilots flew for 40 hours straight. Then 50. Then 60. They drank strange drinks full of caffeine. They sang songs to stay awake. They crashed sometimes. Some died. The ones who survived kept flying. Human engineers worked on broken ships. They fixed engines with spare parts and prayers. They welded cracked hulls while standing in the vacuum of space. They did things that should have killed them. Some died. The ones who survived kept working. Human doctors treated the sick, the injured, the terrified. They gave shots. They held hands. They told jokes. They lied about how bad things were. They smiled when they wanted to cry. They kept going. Kale watched from his research station. He ran the numbers. The numbers said the humans would fail. They had too few ships. Too little time. Too many people. The models were clear. Failure was certain. But the humans did not fail. Week 1. They evacuated 10 worlds. Week 2. 20 worlds. Week 3. 30 worlds. They were moving faster than any species in history. Faster than the models said was possible. Kale checked his calculations. They were correct. The humans should not be able to do this. But they were doing it. Month 5. 90 worlds were empty. The humans had saved 90 worlds. 10 remained. The star would explode in 30 days. The humans had 30 days to save 10 worlds. The Veth models said they needed 60 days. Kale watched. He waited. He hoped. He did not know he was hoping. Veth did not hope. But something was growing in his chest. 20 days left. 8 worlds empty. 2 remained. 10 days left. 9 worlds empty. 1 remained. 5 days left. The last world was called Haven. 50 million people lived there. The humans had 5 days to save 50 million souls. The Veth models said it would take 15 days. Impossible. The humans did not care about impossible. They flew. They landed. They loaded. They left. They did not sleep. They did not eat. They did not stop. Elena Vance flew her ship until her hands bled. She did not stop. Her crew passed out from exhaustion. Others took their places. The work continued. The star exploded exactly when the Veth predicted. On the final day. At the final hour. The explosion was beautiful. Terrible. A wave of fire and death spreading outward at the speed of light. But there was no one left to die. The humans had evacuated the last person 6 hours before the explosion. 50 million souls. Saved. Every single one. Kale sat in his research station. He was shaking. Veth did not shake. He was crying. Veth did not cry. He looked at his models. They were wrong. The humans had done the impossible. He understood now. He went to the Veth Council. Thessalon was there. Sorin was there. The greatest scientists in the universe. Kale stood before them. His voice was steady. Humans do not accept impossible, he said. When their models say no, they try anyway. And sometimes, trying anyway changes the outcome. Thessalyn stared at him. That is not science, she said. That is magic. Kale shook his head. It is not magic. It is stubbornness. It is hope. It is love. We removed these things from our society long ago. We called them inefficient. But they are not inefficient. They are the most efficient force in the universe. Humans do not follow our rules because our rules are incomplete. We forgot to account for the heart. The council was silent. For the first time in their history, the greatest scientists in the universe had no answer. Their perfect understanding of everything had a hole in it. A hole shaped like humanity. Thessalyn looked at Kale. What do we do now? She asked. Kale said, we learn. We watch. We listen. And maybe, if we are lucky, we become a little more human. No one laughed. No one argued. The models were broken. The truth was standing in front of them. Small. Loud. Full of tape and hope. And for the first time, the Veth were ready to listen. The Veth Council was desperate. For 3 million years, their models had been perfect. They had predicted the rise and fall of empires, the birth and death of stars, the behavior of every species in the galaxy. But humans had broken everything. Now the council wanted answers. They demanded answers. Kale was given a new task. Build a model that includes humans. Add variables for everything that made them strange. Stubbornness, hope, love, luck, faith, dreams. All of it. Put it into the great computer and find the pattern. Kale tried. He worked for 6 months. He added thousands of new variables. The computer ran for days. Then it crashed. He tried again. It crashed again. He tried 100 times. The computer crashed 100 times. The problem was not the computer. The problem was humans. Their behavior could not be predicted. It changed too fast. A human who was sad in the morning could be happy by noon. A human who hated someone yesterday could love them today. A human who should have run toward safety would run toward danger. For no reason. For every reason. For reasons that made no logical sense. Kale presented his failure to the council. He stood before Thessalyn and the others. He said, I cannot build the model. No one can. Human behavior cannot be mapped. It depends on feelings, not facts. On dreams, not data. Thessalyn was angry. You are the best scientist of your generation. If you cannot do it, no one can. Are you telling me that humans are beyond understanding? Kale took a breath. Yes, he said. Some things cannot be understood. They can only be experienced. Humans are not a problem to solve. They are a mystery to accept. The council did not like this. They wanted answers. They demanded answers. But the answers did not come. The models stayed broken. The humans stayed strange. Meanwhile, humans kept being human. A human trader named Marcus Chen met a Krell warrior. The Krell had been enemies of humanity for years. They had fought wars. They had spilled blood. By every logical measure, Marcus should have hated the Krell. Instead, he shared his food with the hungry warrior. He told jokes until the warrior laughed. He taught the warrior to sing. The Krell warrior cried. Krell did not cry, but this one did. He said, Why are you kind to me? We are enemies. Marcus shrugged. Not anymore, he said. I decided. That was it. He decided. No model. No calculation. No logic. Just a decision. To be kind. To forgive. To start over. On another world, a human colony was attacked by a Xylos fleet. The humans should have fought back. They should have called for revenge. Instead, they sent a message. We forgive you. Come share our food. Let us talk. The Xylos commander was confused. He had never been forgiven before. He did not know what to do. He landed his ships. He shared the human food. He talked. He cried. He apologized. The humans hugged him. They built a friendship that lasted 100 years. On a dying world, a human engineer named Sora Vance stayed behind to fix a failing reactor. She could have left. Everyone else had left. But there was one person still trapped in the facility. A stranger. A different species. Someone she had never met. Sora fixed the reactor. The stranger escaped. Sora did not. The reactor exploded. She died. The stranger lived. When asked why she did it, Sora had said, because someone should. That was all. Because someone should. The Veth watched all of this. They recorded it. They studied it. They tried to find the pattern. There was no pattern. Humans befriended enemies. They forgave the unforgivable. They died for strangers. They laughed at death. They cried at sunsets. They wrote poems about black holes. They sang songs about dark matter. They fell in love with people who were wrong for them. They stayed with people who were dying. They hoped when there was no hope. None of it made sense. But something was changing in the Veth. Something soft. Something human. Kale noticed it first. He laughed at a human joke. A real laugh. Not a calculated response. A real one. He cried at a human movie. He felt sad when a human died. He felt happy when a human succeeded. He was becoming infected. And he was not the only one. Young Veth began to seek out humans. They wanted to learn. To feel. To understand. They listened to human music. They read human poetry. They watched human plays. They fell in love. They got their hearts broken. They learned to hope. The old Veth Council was horrified. You are becoming weak, they said. You are losing your logic. Your efficiency. Your minds. The young Veth did not care. They had tasted something new. Something better. They had tasted being human. And they would not go back. Kale stood before the council one last time. He said, you wanted answers. You wanted a model. There is no model. There is only this. A feeling. A choice. A decision to care. Humans did not break our models. They broke our cages. And for the first time, we are free. The council had no response. The models were gone. The answers were gone. But something else had taken their place. Something messy. Something beautiful. Something human. And it was just beginning. The Veth had never made a mistake. Their science was perfect. Their calculations were flawless. But on a quiet day near the edge of their territory, something went wrong. A physics experiment. A simple test. A single error in a billion numbers. The result was a black hole. Small at first. Then growing. Then hungry. The Veth scientists ran their models. The black hole would consume the entire system in 6 hours. 14 worlds. 3 billion beings. All of it gone. The models were clear. Nothing could stop it. Nothing could slow it. The black hole would eat everything. The Veth sent out the warning. Evacuate. Run. You have 6 hours. But the nearest safe system was 12 hours away. No one could escape in time. The Veth knew this. Their models told them. They sent the warning anyway. Because that was what you did. You warned people. Even when there was no hope. The humans heard the warning. They did not run. They flew toward the black hole. 100 human ships. Cargo haulers. Colony ships. Old exploration vessels. Nothing with weapons. Nothing with special technology. Just ships. Just people. They flew in a pattern that made no sense. They placed themselves around the growing singularity. They waited. The Veth watched in horror. Sorin, the old station commander, sent a message. What are you doing? Turn back. You will die. The human fleet commander was a woman named Elena Vance. She was old now. Gray hair. Wrinkled face. But her voice was still steady. We know, she said. Hold on. The black hole grew. The human ships moved closer. Closer than any ship should go. Their hulls began to crack. Their engines began to fail. The crews did not run. They did not scream. They sang. 100 ships. 100 crews. Singing the same song. A human song about hope. About love. About not giving up. Elena gave the order. Detonate engines. All ships. Now. The human ships exploded. 100 lights in the darkness. 100 sacrifices. The explosions were perfectly timed. Perfectly placed. The shockwaves hit the black hole from every direction. The singularity wobbled. Then it shook. Then it collapsed. The black hole was gone. The system was saved. 14 worlds. 3 billion beings. Alive. Because 100 human ships had flown into death. Because 100 human crews had given their lives. Because Elena Vance had looked at the impossible and said, watch us. The Veth sat in silence. Their models had said it could not be done. Their science had said there was no hope. But the humans had done it anyway. They had changed the outcome. Not with technology. Not with power. With sacrifice. With love. With stubbornness. Kale stood in the Veth Council. He was crying. Veth did not cry. But he was crying. His tears fell on the ancient floor. No one told him to stop. They made no sense, he said. His voice broke. None of their actions followed our rules. They should have run. They flew toward death. They should have saved themselves. They saved others. They should have accepted the impossible. They changed it. He paused. He looked at the council members. Thessalon was there. Soren was there. The greatest scientists in the universe. All of them crying now. All of them feeling something they had not felt in millions of years. We have mapped every star, Kale continued. Every planet. Every black hole. We understand dark matter. We understand the birth and death of universes. But we never understood the most important thing. We never understood that some things cannot be mapped. Some things can only be felt. The council was silent. Then, one by one, they stood. They bowed their heads. Not to humans. Humans were gone. The ones who had saved them were dead. They bowed to the memory of humans. To the impossible species that had taught them that love was not a variable. It was the answer. The galaxy never forgot that day. The Veth stopped trying to map everything. They started trying to feel everything. They learned to laugh. To cry. To hope. To love. They became a little more human. Concerts were held in memory of the 100 ships. Songs were written. Children were named after Elena Vance. Statues were built. Not of Veth heroes. Of human pilots. Small. Brave. Broken. Beautiful. And somewhere, in a small system no one had mapped, a human child looked up at the stars. She did not know about the black hole. She did not know about the 100 ships. She did not know that the greatest scientists in the universe could not explain her species. She only knew that the stars were beautiful. Bright. Distant. Full of possibility. She smiled. She waved at the sky. She did not know why. She just knew it felt right. And that was enough. It had always been enough. The Veth just had not known it. Not until humans showed them. Not until love broke their models. Not until 100 ships taught the universe the only lesson that mattered. Some things cannot be mapped. Some things can only be felt. And the best thing you can do with a beautiful sky is wave at it.